Yo, Jamal. I've been practicing martial arts now for a few years, and I was going to ask, in your opinion, what do you think is the quickest, most efficient way to progress in martial arts? Like, not necessarily like taking shortcuts and like becoming a black belt or whatever, but like, what is the most efficient route to take? Like, what should the focus be on, in order to progress efficiently? Thanks.
Hello, thank you for your question. A lot of people practice martial arts or start martial arts, but they always fall short. Uh, some people fall short early, some people fall short within a year, 2 years, some even 4 years, or halfway through, or just before they finish. If you are a beginner and you look to start martial arts, first thing you must do is forget everything that you know about martial arts, especially if it's from movies. Okay, movies give a false impression of what martial arts is. Martial arts is painful. It requires a lot of patience and it requires discipline. And there will be a lot of sacrifice in terms of money, time, and other activities. What I suggest all students do is get a notepad and bring it to lesson and jot down everything that you have learned during the lesson. Okay? Every detail, because you most likely forget it. It's like if you was to go to a school seminar in university and you don't bring your notepad, unless you have photographic memory, that's not going to help. You find that the notepad, if you write things down on your notepad, you can see later on the bigger picture of what you have learned, because everything you practice during the lesson you don't see, you just feel. So you're not observing from an outside perspective. So you don't actually see the aim or the goal of what you're trying to learn sometimes. When doing martial arts, you must set a goal of how much time you want to spend weekly or daily, because this martial arts is a daily practice. If you want to improve, it's like exercise. Exercise needs to be done on a daily basis, unless you're doing like a certain workout that requires rest days. A lot of the time it's people's commitment, okay, to martial arts. You have to know that this martial arts will help you one day in terms of your discipline and your knowledge. Okay, remember why you're doing this. You must always have this drive and this hunger, because what happens is a lot of people practice, like I said earlier, people do not continue. So you have to have realistic goals, uh, realistic timetable. Okay, the most important thing is to set your timetable. Okay, a lot of the time when you see your timetable, you spend a lot of time thinking about what you want to do rather than doing what you should do. When you learn, you must understand that the fundamentals are the core and keys of the martial arts. Although the fundamentals are always boring and do not seem fun, but they must be practiced over and over and over again until you just cannot forget it. Okay, once you have done that, you have done that for several years until your body has molded to the techniques that you have learnt. So once you have taken a month or 2 months off, when you get back into it, your muscle still remembers those techniques. So a lot of people I've seen, they learn the technique, they practice the repetitions at the class, which ain't gonna be many. Okay, if that. So make sure you practice at home. Okay, a lot of people just practice in the classroom and they don't practice at home. The other thing is to improve is you should meditate on these techniques. I think meditation for in life is a must, and if you want to get good at something, you should meditate, especially martial arts. Martial arts is something that needs to be deep in your subconscious, because if you're doing it for self-defense or self-protection, it must be there when you can, at all times when you need it, because when your adrenaline's pumping, most of the knowledge goes out the window. Most of your techniques go out the window. If you do any martial arts in lesson, if it's, say for example, it's 100%, you can do it in class. On the streets, it's probably going to be, say, 10% to 20%. So make sure you practice over the 100%. So about, say, you got to make sure you can do it at a effective of over 200%. Does that make sense? To learn anything effectively, you must cover the 5 principles of learning. The first one is listen. Okay, listen. So you close off all your senses and you just use the sense that takes in knowledge. So listen is very important. Okay, not ask questions, listen. Okay, then you must think about what your teacher is telling you. Try to research what he has told you. Then you must understand, recognize, acknowledge what he is trying to say to you, and why this technique is done in the way it should be. Then you must practice and manifest the knowledge that you have been taught. Okay, remember to practice with lots of repetitions. Okay, remember, it's not the one who has many techniques, it's the one who practices the same technique 1,000 times. Last but not least, you must teach. Okay, I don't mean be a teacher like a guru or a coach or sifu. You must try to pass it on to your juniors. Okay, don't think of yourself as a high a high ranking person teaching a low ranking person. Just imagine you're sharing. Okay, so there's no status. It's just voluntary what you're doing. The more you give to the world, I believe the more you get back. Okay, but the theory behind that is, once you teach, you have to break it down in your head rather than physically. You have to verbally express what you are trying to say, or what you're trying to the technique or the application, and it's a lot of the times it's easier said than done. Okay, what got me to improve a lot was getting asked a lot of questions. I was asked the most randomest questions, to how do you defeat this? Will you beat a black belt, or blah blah blah, or can you take on 10 people? How do I take on 10 people? Stuff like that. Silly questions. You must be truthful and honest. Because when you're not, you deceive your student or the person, and you deceive yourself. Okay? So being truthful to yourself, oneself, is the core of martial arts. Okay? Please remember that. Being truthful to yourself is important in martial arts. Okay? Because in martial arts, you cannot fake it. If you fake it, you'll get exposed. Okay? Because when someone throws a punch at you and it hits you in the face, reality hurts like hell. Martial arts is also about evolving and applying what you have learned. you must be able to adapt. Charles Darwin says it's not the strongest who survive, it's the one who can adapt survives. So, back to the 5 learning processes. It's listen, think, understand, practice, and then teach. I hope that helps. Thank you for your question. See you in the next video.